So thank you so much, Ruth. You covered certainly a lot during the last hour. Now it's actually our time to move to our next speaker. I will share the screen to present her. Do you all see my screen? Okay, so our next speaker will actually provide us with a good example of a community that exists both digitally and had face-to-face encounters. Einat Levi is entrepreneur and researcher at Mitvim Institute and the Forum for Regional Thinking. She divides her time between Israel and Morocco, promoting civic ties, social tourism, and leading study tours. In 2016, she founded the Moroccan Jewish Story in 360, a digital project that combines documentation communities on Facebook and virtual tours of Jewish heritage sites in Morocco. The 12 documentation communities of Casablanca, Marrakech, Fes, Essaouira, Meknes, and others use the mutual sense of longing and transform it into an action-oriented accountability. Through combined virtual and face-to-face action, they work together in order to save some of the lost models of Jewish communal life and bring it back to their present lives. So, Einat, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, first of all, for the invitation. And I can only imagine how many challenges you face these days. And can you please give me the permission to share the screen?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you. So I will talk to you today about digital memories from Morocco, but it's actually a story about re-emerging communities in virtual spaces, but not just virtual, as you will see. This project combines two parts. One is the virtual tours in Moroccan Jewish heritage sites. It can be synagogues, cemeteries, Jewish quarters around Morocco. And the other part are digital documentation communities that are dedicated to specific cities in which Jewish communities used to live, or still until this day. And to get a sense of it, I will focus on one community, the community of Fez. You can see in the map of Morocco. And the Jews of Fez used to live mostly in the Milach. It was the Jewish quarter. And you can see how crowded it was. There were around 40 streets where more than 20,000 Jews used to live. So this crowded area actually contributed a lot to their communal sense. And the problem starts actually with the disappearing of the Jewish community. And it is clearly can be seen through the numbers. If you can see here, in 1947, there were more than 20,000 Jews living in Fez. But just 4 years later, in 51, there were just a little bit above half of it. And today we are talking about more or less just 50 Jews there. And this experience of disappearing is actually causing two kinds of traumas. One is loss, and the other is absence. And this distinction is taken actually from a book written by Dominique Lacapre, called Writing History, Writing Trauma. Loss is caused by a historical event that resulted of the loss of something that we actually felt. It can be a home, it can be a community, or someone we love. And absence, it is more of an abstract feeling. Sometimes it's even hard to say what is the things that is missing. It can cause a great deal of frustration. And we can implement these two kind of traumas on the intergenerational transition axis. The first generation who left Morocco, who were born in Morocco, they felt the loss. But then the second generation, the third generations, and so on, and I'm among them, we felt the absence. And I have to say that living in Israel, as a Moroccan myself, my grandparents came from Meknes in 52. I didn't know what it means to be Moroccan until I traveled to Morocco for the first time in 2012. And then during this tour, I visited a place called Em Habanim Museum. So today it's a museum but it used to be a school founded in 1912 by two women. And I can tell you a lot about this place, but I can also show you, and it will be an opportunity actually to see how the virtual tours look like. So here I am in the middle of Em Habanim. This is the area where they used to pray. This is the synagogue. The schools were very connected with the classroom. And right here, this room used to be a classroom, but look at it now. And if I mentioned earlier the sense of absence, then standing right here in this room was just the opposite of it. I saw the community, I saw all the photos, and I decided to come back to this very place just 3 years later and documented all those photos within the albums. But then another problem occurred. I had lots of photos, but I couldn't tell what's the story behind the photo, where it was taken, when it was taken, and who are the people inside it. And I also thought about those kids, maybe the possibility to bring back some childhood memories to them. But the problem was, how can I get to those people that left Fez? And the answer was to create a virtual space for them. I created the Jewish Facebook project, and it couldn't be just a regular group. There must be a strategy, a methodology. And the key was actually the photos here. And I created 4 albums. One for the children of Fez, from all the photos I documented there. One for the women, one for the men, and the most important were the group photos. Because once you tag those photos, because the whole network is based on families and friends, then all the Fez members just kept joining the group, and in 2 days there were 600 members in the community. And the method was very simple. We upload photos, and then we solve the enigma. What's the story behind them? We have a dialogue, so it's not just one-on-one, it's a group discussion, and we help each other. Also with languages, it allows us to speak different languages and understand each other, thanks to this C translation option right here. And today, after 4.5 years, there are almost 2,600 already members, 1,000 of media items, and we can say that the group was successful in uniting all the Fez members from, not all, but some from France, from Israel, from Morocco, from Belgium, Canada, and the US. And I want to show you a few examples from our collaboration. It's like, you can say it's like a mission task-oriented community. We solve these puzzles together. So after just a few hours that this photo was posted on the group, we understood the story. These are the teachers from Talmud Torah from the 70s, and we have all the names except for one name still missing. And of course, each teacher has so many memories, or triggering so many memories of the communities. And this is more of the same, just a different school. It's the Alliance. Same years, you can see there are more teachers in this school. Probably they have more students. And this is a book that students used to learn Hebrew from. It's called Otzarenu. And it was a great trigger for memory. Students, right now are members of the community, they could recall their memories and even full text from the book that they still remember. We also helped each other interpret and translate Moroccan Judeo-Arabic. For example, this is an invitation for engagement party, and we didn't understand what this 687 means. And with the help of the group members, we realized it's 1927. This is also a nice photo of the Boy Scouts of the Bialik troop of Fez from '56. And you can see former parliament member of Israel, Eli Al-Aluf, right here. Now this photo may be misleading a little bit because many people think it's Purim, the Purim holiday, but the truth is it's Bar Mitzvah. And one question that was posted on these photos was, what is this strange kippah if it's Bar Mitzvah? And the truth came right after when we realized that it was a French influence because of the French Caps uniforms. But then just 20 or 30 years earlier, we can see that fashion is a different thing, and the kippah used to look different. And there's also a nice photo of these. I think it shows the place of women and the Torah. And it was taken in an inauguration of Torah School in 1954. Of course, we know all the names, but I just love this group. It's very touching. And I promised you that it's not just about the virtual world. And what has been happening since last year is that we are moving to face-to-face activities. For example, this is the community of Sifru, a city just near Fez, and we had a conference in May 2019, and we invited people, first of all, to come to the conference, but also to bring photos with them. And we had a documentation stand in the conference, and of course it became like a storytelling stand, not just scanning the photos. They enjoyed the lectures and experienced it, and then when they finished, they just came to collect the photos. Then what we did was to take the photos and upload it to the virtual space again, to the group. And then we found the stories behind it. And another overwhelming examples, as I see it, are a few members from the community of Dimnat. They organized a documentation tour to the city of Dimnat. It's not far from Marrakesh. And they traveled together last year, and they even met with the mayor of Dimnat, and they planned together the rehabilitation of the Jewish cemetery there, and planned together an international conference of the Jewish heritage of Dimnat. This was the logo. This is the logo. But the conference was supposed to be this September, unfortunately due to the COVID-19. The situation is a little bit problematic. I want to sum it up with a few advantages, as I see it, of the model. First of all, it is a collaborative recalling process, and it allows us an intergenerational bonding between those who doesn't know and ask the question and those who can answer. It's a union of experts about Fez or other communities. We get a really good availability and accessibility through different, cell phones, computers from any place, any time. Everyone has a value in this community. They can either post a photo or share a memory or help others find out about the past. We get a reunion of families and friends through the virtual world space. It's a combination of Jewish and Muslim memories together because it's not just how we perceive the community, also how it was perceived by others. It allows us, as you saw, multilingual discussions. It's affordable because it's mostly on a voluntary basis. It allows us to move from personal longing that can be sometimes painful to common election-based responsibility. And it allowed recognition of marginalized communities and empowering the elderly because they are the ones who have the most knowledge in this context. And I will finish up with this beautiful word, longing. For me, it's not just an emotion of nostalgia. It's a real engine for renewal. And if you add to it just this small word, you get the real sense of it. Thank you. It was a little bit of a marathon. I'm really sorry, but I really wanted you to.
Thank you so much, Einat. This is an answer to Jane Wabnik. You remember the discussion when you raised the idea? the transgenerational and memories. So Einat, we will have to hear more about you, and I think we will have to invite you to one of our sessions for a lengthier session. This was just a taste, but I think a wonderful example how you utilize the virtual and the face-to-face and build a community. You're getting a lot of great remarks. Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. Okay, so I'm